Welcome to today's Explainer. Think of this session as a historical masterclass. We're going to step back in time to examine the visceral shock and the sheer geopolitical earthquake of December 7, 1941. We'll analyze exactly how a single morning fundamentally altered the trajectory of human history, collapsing empires and sparking a global conflict. Here's our syllabus for today. 1. The Sunday Shattered. 2. The Geopolitical Powder Keg. 3. Heroes in the Hellfire. 4. Awakening the Sleeping Giant, and 5. The Legacy of December 7th. Let's get right into it. Section 1. The Sunday Shattered. 7:55 a.m. The sky turns into a nightmare. I want you to really picture yourselves on that harbor. It's a peaceful Sunday morning bathed in that warm Hawaiian sunlight. Soldiers are just hanging out, laughing, eating breakfast, writing letters home. And then, at exactly 7:55 a.m., that peace is absolutely shattered. The deafening roar of Japanese warplanes literally tears across the sky. The first bombs drop instantly. Suddenly, men are jumping into pitch-black, water-filled compartments just trying to survive, or having to dive into an ocean that is actually on fire from leaking fuel. It was just pure, unimaginable chaos. And the human toll here is just staggering. Over 2,400 Americans were killed, and more than 1,000 were wounded. And to put that into perspective for you, this devastation didn't happen over some grueling multi-day siege. This horrifying loss of life occurred in basically 2 merciless hours. The USS Arizona perfectly exemplifies the sheer, localized devastation of that morning. It was pierced right near its ammunition storage by a massively powerful bomb. The result was a gigantic explosion that literally tore the mighty Battleship apart, sending fire hundreds of feet into the air. On that single ship alone, more than 1,000 men died almost instantly. Which, of course, brings us to a rather terrifying question, one historians and strategists have debated for decades now. Was this truly a surprise, or did America somehow ignore the warnings? To really answer that, we have to step back from the burning harbor and analyze the macro-level global chessboard. That brings us to Section 2. The Geopolitical Powder Keg, the Path to Absolute Secrecy. So back in the late 1930s, the world is practically on a knife edge. Japan is rapidly expanding its empire across Asia. But to do that, they desperately need control over resources, specifically oil, to fuel this expansion. Well, America wasn't having it. They responded by placing devastating economic sanctions on Japan, totally cutting off those critical oil supplies. This literally threatened the Japanese military with total collapse. Because of that, Japanese leaders, including Admiral Yamamoto, were staring down a massive, binary strategic choice. Option 1, surrender their imperial ambitions entirely and just back down. Or Option 2, destroy America's Pacific power in one single, bold surprise attack before the United States could even intervene. And, well, they chose the latter. Look at the timeline of how this escalates. While the world is watching Hitler over in Europe, Admiral Yamamoto is planning this operation in absolute secrecy for months. We're talking aircraft carriers crossing the Pacific completely hidden by storms. And then we get to the catastrophic mistake. On the actual morning of December 7th, an American radar operator actually detected large formations of aircraft approaching Hawaii, but officers fatally dismissed them, thinking they were just friendly American bombers. Section 3. Heroes in the Hellfire. Ordinary people, extraordinary courage. Let's zoom back down to the micro level, back into the smoke. The communication systems are failing, there are basically no orders, but this attack transformed ordinary people into heroes in a matter of minutes. You had sailors willingly climbing onto burning ships just to rescue trapped crew members while bombs are still going off. Doctors and nurses working absolutely nonstop in crowded, blood-filled hospitals to save their brothers. You really have to look at the extraordinary resilience of individuals like Doris Miller. This guy was a Navy cook. He had absolutely no combat training. But when the attack hit, he grabbed an unmanned anti-aircraft machine gun and fiercely fought off Japanese planes, becoming one of the very first African-American war heroes of World War II. Or take pilot George Welch, who somehow miraculously got his fighter plane off a totally shattered runway to battle in the skies above the chaos. Ordinary people choosing bravery over fear. Which leads right into Section 4, Awakening the Sleeping Giant, the Pivot to Global War. So news of the attack spreads, and the very next day, President Franklin D. Roosevelt delivers his legendary speech, cementing December 7th as a date which will live in infamy. Congress declared war immediately. Within days, America was officially dragged right into the ultimate global military escalation. But what's really fascinating here is Admiral Yamamoto's reaction. While Japan was busy celebrating this massive tactical victory, Yamamoto reportedly felt a deep strategic unease. He famously stated, "I fear all we have done is to awaken a sleeping giant." He understood America's raw industrial strength, and history was about to prove his terrifying realization completely correct. Because instead of crippling the United States, the attack on Pearl Harbor served as the primary catalyst for this overwhelming, unified determination. The giant absolutely awoke. American factories pivoted practically overnight into rapid-fire production lines for tanks, ships, and weapons. Millions of Americans rushed to enlist. In a matter of days, this largely isolationist nation was violently transformed into an unstoppable global superpower. Japan won the morning, for sure, but they fundamentally shifted the balance of global power against themselves. Section 5. Legacy of December 7, The Cost of the Spark. The aftermath of that spark was vast and it was brutal. It launched the grueling Pacific War, which meant incredibly deadly battles like Midway and Iwo Jima, ultimately ending with the devastating drop of atomic bombs on Japan. Domestically, fear and suspicion led to thousands of innocent Japanese Americans being forced into internment camps. Just a deeply, deeply dark chapter in American history. And today, the sunken USS Arizona remains a haunting memorial, actually still slowly leaking oil that survivors refer to as its tears. And, the controversy around all this remains heavily debated today. Did America know? Intelligence reports did suggest Japan was preparing a major operation, and codebreakers had intercepted some secret communications weeks prior. Now, conspiracy theories claim FDR basically allowed the attack to happen to get us into the war, though historians have found absolutely no proof of that. But it's an undeniable fact that warnings existed. Critical mistakes happened, and thousands paid the ultimate price. But what I really want you to take away from this historical analysis is this. Amid the collapse of empires and massive strategic failures, Pearl Harbor remains a profound testament to human courage. When the sky literally turned to fire, ordinary people faced impossible horror, and they chose bravery. So I'll leave you with this final thought to ponder. As we look at the shifting geopolitical tensions and rivalries of our own time today, what lessons must we remember from the day the giant awoke? Because history constantly reminds us, the world can change completely, forever, in just a single morning. Thanks for joining me on this explainer.